Okay, on to our 2B notes, and we are doing the distance formula on these notes. Okay, distance or length, same thing. Hopefully we know that. Okay, so all we're doing is finding the length of a line segment. Okay, by using the two endpoints, using the coordinates of those two endpoints, and doing a quick little formula here. I'm going to link not only this video but a couple other videos up to Classroom as well to assist with that. If you want to look at an example, you could put it there. But I want to do just a couple examples here together, and then give you the rest of the time to do these on your own. So the distance formula is simply this. It's kind of a big one. Okay, it's a big square root. Okay, and it's basically going to be x2 minus x1 close parentheses squared plus y2 minus y1 close parentheses squared. Okay, so x2 minus x1 and y2 minus y1, square those things, add them up, and then take the square root. All right, so let's say we're going to look at CI. Okay, let's say we're going to find a length of CI. Well, okay, so x2 minus x1, so that's 6 minus 1. We'll square it. Or check that, that's y2 minus y1. I apologize. Let's erase that. I'm getting my formulas confused here. So we have 6 minus 1 squared over here. And then for the x values, we have 2 minus 10 squared there. Okay, using those. All right, so 2 minus 10 is negative 8. 6 minus 1 is 5. Now remember, whenever you have a negative number and you square it, it becomes positive. And so that's why, you can never take the square root of a negative number. So the numbers that we get underneath the square root are always going to be positive, okay, no matter what. Each parenthesis is going to end up being a positive number after we square it. So negative 8 times negative 8 is 64. 5 times 5 is 25. So 64 plus 25 is 89. Remember, this whole thing is underneath the square root, okay? So the answer is going to be the square root of 89. Now, if we want to, we can go to calculate it. All right, and let's see what the square is. So if we hit square root button there of 89, you got to do it the other way. So 89 square root, so 9.4339, etc. But if you want to, you can just leave it as the square root of 89. I'm not interested really in decimals here. I'm just interested in us getting these formulas right. Okay, so the distance for CI is going to be the square root of 89. Okay, let's do two more. Again, pause the video if you need to get caught up here. All right, let's look at BG. Use a different color here. Let's go blue. So for BG, we have a big old square root. So we're going to subtract the x's and square it. So we have 7 minus negative 9 squared. And then we have 0 minus 2 squared. So 7 minus negative 9 is 16. 0 minus 2, negative 2. Okay, so 16 squared, 256. Negative 2 squared is 4. So our final answer is going to be the square root of 260. Okay, square root of 260. Okay, all you got to do is take this formula, plug in x2, x1, y2, y1, and make sure that you use your order of operations properly. Work within the parentheses, keep the parentheses, square that number, and then add it. Okay, if we don't use order of operations correctly, we'll kind of screw up. There's another thing I want to do, and when we found slopes, if you remember when we found slopes, I wanted you to leave it as a fraction and really not reduce it down. And here's why. Because if we find the slope, we also can find the distance easily. If you remember, what is slope? Okay, the formula for slope, okay, we have y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1, okay, which is, rise over run. Well, if we do what we got to do to find a slope, or if we're ever on a problem where it asks us to find a slope and find the length of a line segment, well, a lot of the work is already done if you do the slope first. So let's just do one more example, and I'm going to show you what I mean here. Whoops. Let's do CF, shall we? Let's do the slope of CF. I'm going to do this off to the other side here. So if we do slope of CF, okay, so we have on top, we have negative 10 minus 1, y2 minus y1. On the bottom, we have 2 minus 10. Okay, so on top, we have negative 11. On the bottom, we have 2 minus 10 is negative 8. Okay, so our slope is negative 11 over negative 8. Y'all with me so far? Okay, now, the 2 minus negative 10, as I just said a moment ago, is negative 8. That's your y2, or check that, sorry. That's your x2 minus x1. So doing this, we could just skip directly to, for the distance formula, we could just put negative 8 in that parenthesis right there and square it. Because we already have our x2 minus x1, we equaled it to negative 8. Okay, kind of saves a little trouble there. The y2 minus y1 is there, negative 11. All right. So again, we can save ourselves a little bit of time. I don't know why this dumb thing's doing this. Okay. So we have negative 8 squared plus negative 11 squared. And we should be sort of good to go here. All right. So negative 8 squared is 64. Negative 11 squared is 121. All right. 64 plus 121, I believe, is 185. All right. And we'll root that. Same formula, ladies and gentlemen. Same formula. I think we were doing CF, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And so since we're doing that right there, root 185, and again, it sort of took care of a little bit of our work finding the slope. Okay. So that's a distance formula, really pretty simple. I'm also going to put a formula up here to where we can sort of check our work. Okay. So if we go here, we go up to Google and we type in distance formula calculator. And I like to go, where was it? There's a couple of them we can use. I think it was the Math Warehouse one. Okay, we're plugging our x1, y1, and our x2, y2, and we'll calculate it for us. So we can kind of just see if we're right. So let's say we're just going to a CF again. Okay. So we're looking at CF. Okay, our x1, y1 is 10, 1. Our point C. And our point F was 2, 10. Okay, we plug those numbers in right there. All right, so we do that and we calculate it. Okay, again, it sort of shows us all the work down here. 2 minus 10 squared, negative 10 minus 1 squared. So we have negative 8 squared plus negative 11 squared. 64 plus 121. We got the square root of 185. Okay. As we go on later in the year, I don't mind us using the distance formula calculator, but for right now, I would like us to do this by hand, either here or off to the side, and use the distance formula calculator to uh, check your answers. Okay. That's what's great about technology. We can sort of check our answers without, having to go back and, either seeing a teacher or seeing somebody else. You have the tools at your hands to sort of check the answers yourselves. Okay. So that's our 2B notes. From there, 2C is what we will do in class/homework tomorrow. And that really ties together 2A part 1, 2A part 2, 2A part 3, and 2B. And so our next video will be over 2D. So you take care and have a good day.